this episode of DDB Talks, our video series featuring the brightest minds, the most interesting stories, and tales of unexpected works from around the world. I'm Lindsay Bennett, and today I'm joined by Global Chief Creative Officer Weiss and DDB Paris Chief Creative Officer Alexander Kalchev. Now, we first heard about unexpected works a few weeks ago with the DDB virtual conference, and I know many of us were blown away by the incredible creative that was developed to support the launch. We're here today to share more about unexpected works and how it went from brief to ideation within a matter of weeks within our network. Ari, let's start with you. Can you tell us how unexpected works came to be today?
Yeah, so look, we knew we wanted to modernize this thought of creativity being the most powerful force in business. This is, the heartbeat of DDB. And the reason why we wanted to modernize it is it just didn't have the sharp litmus test of, is this work that we're thinking up right now going to accomplish that goal, right? The goal of creativity breaking through and driving efficacy, driving growth in business. And we spoke a lot about it, and Alex and the team, the Global Strategic Council, really was pushing and prying against this word creativity, because it is in a lot of ways the best way to define what a creative business is all about, right? Creativity. But on the same note, it's one of the most overused words. And so what does creativity really mean? What drives that kind of outsized growth? And where they landed and what they tested with the Global Creative Council was this idea of the unexpected being proxy for creativity. And there was a lot of talk about it. We were quite married to this thought of creativity. Obviously, we're all creatives by background in the Global Creative Council. But Alex did his very Alex Hess did his very Alex Hess thing of being very smart and convincing us all that actually unexpected was going to give us greater clarity on the product we wanted to see coming out the other side. And with that, we said, look, let's see how it comes to life. But let's see, like any good brief, a brief is only as good as the output of the work, right? The great briefs are shortcuts to great work. And like all creative communities, everyone was a little bit skeptical, I think, to start with. And then as we went, we really started to see unexpected works come to life. So Alex and his team, developed the visual identity. Damon and his team did the wonderful billboard stunt to kind of launch and drive PR activation around the program. Britt Nolan and team in North America did the website. Rick Brim and team at Adam and Eve did the manifesto. And we started to see a pretty interesting thing happen, which was, first of all, we all started working together, which I don't know that we've ever done on a single project before, which was actually a very, very lovely experience. But more so, all the work started instantly coalescing. Like we didn't really have any missteps. Like it came together really, really quickly. And I think, again, that's evidence of a very good brief. So, when Alex showed the visual identity work, Britt was like, oh man, I want to grab this. Like, this is amazing. We should do some animated stuff. So when you come to the splash page, and Damon's like, oh man, we should come up with an activation that drives, from the activation to the website. But maybe it should be unbranded. So there's curiosity and there's a conversation that is sparked. Okay, well, we can pull that down into social. That will be amazing. Okay, well, what's the manifesto all about? Well, let's have that on the landing page. That will define our greater thinking of unexpected works. And that will really be about the power of creativity to drive growth. And the full ecosystem just kind of coalesced quite quickly after, quite a few months of really trying to land that truth, that like really sharp insight. And off we went.
Alex, you and your team played such a big role in bringing this to life. And, from watching it come from the brief to the ideation has been an incredible process. And now we have, dozens and dozens of articulations of unexpected works. What was your initial thought when the brief landed on your desk, 2-3 months ago?
Shit. We don't have time. No, I think what was really exciting about the brief and about the whole idea of unexpected works to me is that there's this idea of constant reinvention, that idea of always seeking the unexpected at works. And that's really, in a way, when you look at all of DDB's work recently and in the past, and when we think about even the greatest Avis and the Lemons and all the classical DDB work, it's always been unexpected, and it's always worked because it's been unexpected. So it felt very DDB to me, and there was something really interesting about that challenge of staying fresh as a network, as a creative agency, and as a visual identity. We were really, we sort of set ourselves up this goal of creating an identity that doesn't feel stale after a few weeks, and that doesn't feel too rigid and too corporate in a way. So we kind of looked for from the get-go, we knew that we wanted to do something that feels smart, that feels DDB, that feels clever, that feels on point, that is visually pleasing, but that can sort of grow and reinvent itself, and that is sufficiently fluid and flexible and inspiring for people in the network to play with. So this wasn't about us delivering, a finished set of visual guidelines. It was more about creating this sort of starting point and then having people play with it, really. So that's kind of how we started thinking about this.
So obviously DDB's long history inspired your approach, but what else inspired the approach? Because the artwork is, a very specific articulation of unexpected works. How would you describe the design that you used?
I think that there's two things that I find really important. The first one is that they should all feel smart in a way that there's always something that makes you, that strikes you first visually because it looks beautiful, but then there's always something that makes you smile. There's always this little detail, this little, illustration, this little expression of unexpected and how it works that, that was really important for us. This wasn't just about like glossy and beautiful visuals. There had to be always a thought behind each visual expression of the idea. And we saw very early on, for example, the broken tooth execution, and it felt very punk. It felt very, very, very modern in the way that it was executed, because it had a lot of it had two very beautiful and contrasting colors, but it had a lot of energy. It had a lot of sort of, it felt, it felt fresh. It felt young, but it was also very kind of fun and unexpected. So, we wanted to be surprised when we saw the visuals, and we did a lot of them. We must have went through dozens and dozens of layouts and executions, and there were some really beautiful ones, but when they felt too pretty or too dry conceptually, we sort of killed them, and we kept looking.
And tell me about the process within Paris. I know that, you had briefs out to various freelancers, you had staff working on it, you had, different artists working on it. What was that process like for you?
It was really interesting because I have to tip my hat off to one of my art directors, Maximilien, who was my lead art director on this, and we wanted to define the visual language together. So we worked with designers, and with a lot of them were also designed by him in-house first. And we wanted to sort of have this first set of expressions that we align on within the creative council and with Ari and with the rest of the gang, and then we opened up to a variety of different illustrators, freelancers. We have some really interesting illustrators that have worked on this, guys that do editorial for the New York Times and for Wired. And it was very interesting because we gave them a sort of open brief, but we told them exactly what I just said. It has to feel smart. It has to feel surprising. You need to get that feeling that it's unexpected and it works because it's unexpected. So everyone was really excited by the brief. And I think today in the executions that we have as a starting point, I'd say we are about 60-40 executions done in-house and executions done by external talent. And I think it's a great sign when an agency network's identity is so inspiring for a lot of external talent that isn't particularly connected to us on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I wanted to jump in there if all right, because I think Alex has hit on a couple really great points. And the idea of the cleverness and I think the beauty, is a big part of it. It's the heart and the mind, right? That have to play together, in all these executions. A lot of what we talked about when we set out to do this was the redesign of the logo and how we had taken something, with kind of a foot in the past and modernized it, right? The DDB logo was one of the original DDB logos that we essentially updated, right, and modernized. And I think, in the aesthetic, there's a beautiful kind of homage to the past in it, but it's all done very contemporarily, and I think, that's a huge accomplishment because it's very hard to walk that line. But I think you look at the pieces and they could be, Herb Lubalin, or they could be, any of the great kind of designers from kind of early advertising, but they all play out very contemporary, right? They have kind of more shocking colors. They have kind of more contemporary wit. They have a little bit more, I guess, swagger, I think would be a nice way to say it. And I think that's very hard to do. Like these guys, I think, really, really threaded the needle in finding a voice. I think you were asking about it earlier. Like it has a very specific look and feel. And I think that was one piece that really moved me when I first saw the work, because I didn't know if that was going to be possible. But they found a way to do it.
And what about bringing unexpected works to life? Obviously, we've launched it, we're embracing it from a global perspective. Alex, I know that you've already created, some amazing assets that you're going to roll out in your office. How do you see it coming to life within the office spaces around the world?
Well, there's two answers to this. I mean, I think obviously the first answer is I'd love for unexpected works to become, we've designed all the assets as posters. So I'd love for them to, be on the walls, and, we're going to probably, do hopefully stickers and tote bags and magazines and whatever, sort of printed form we can produce so that it becomes tangible. And I think the reason why we did so many of those was to, let people pick and choose and, have a diversity in the creative expression. I think one of the reasons why I love who we are as a network is that a lot of our offices have their own unique identity, and you can see it in the output in the way that it is DDB. It feels DDB because it's got this, talented and nice and smart and unexpected feel to it. But a lot of our offices are very, very different. And I think it was really also important for us to have, people have a variety of choices so that it doesn't feel like we have this very mono brand approach where no matter which office you set foot in, it looks the same. It shouldn't look the same. We're very different. We're creative. We have different ways of expressing ourselves across the world. So the first answer is I'd love for people to just play with these posters and, mess around with them and put them on their walls and wherever they see fit. The second answer is I think I'd love for people in the network, for the creatives in the network, to take that idea, to be inspired by what we've done and to do their own. That would be amazing. Just, get amazing visuals done by everyone out there. We're so many great talent. We have so many great talent. So
we've been talking a lot about kind of like office art and like, should we do some sort of installation competition, around the network to, what's the thing a client can Instagram themselves with, when they walk into the office that is some, standing feature, that is your office's specific articulation of unexpected works. I think one of the things, again, not to keep going back to the logo redesign, but one of the beautiful things with the logo redesign is every region really made them fun and specific. I mean, I know in Australia, they had the lovely like Jaws, the lady swimming in the top and the shark in the bottom. And like, they're just fun smiles. And I think the same should happen with unexpected works. Like I would love to see, a New York specific one in the New York office, a UK specific one in Adam and Eve, a Paris specific one with you guys, in India, Rahul and his team, they have a specific one, but like that brings out the flair of the region that shows unexpected work, so that the clients walk in and they take this picture and, in a perfect world, at the end of the year, we have some sort of prize for maybe the most liked or the most shared, office installation. So, I know that might be a little further down the path, but it's a fun ambition because I think it's there's a lot to play with here.
Yeah, and it's an ongoing project. It's not something that we feel I feel we haven't even scratched the surface of what we can do with unexpected works visually and creatively. So it's, we're just kickstarting it, and then where people take it out, I can't wait to see.
Yeah, and I think even before we started this call, we were talking about the external way that we bring unexpected works to life. We've spoken a lot about the internal on this call, but externally, we launched the campaign with the billboard in the sheep paddock in New Zealand, and we've enjoyed some really interesting conversations around the billboard this week. And I know there's other activations around how we bring unexpected works to life around moments like Cannes. Ari, can you tell us a little bit about, the billboard campaign that we put together and why we did that?
Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about, I think, being the cobbler's children in advertising. We always do these grand displays of affection for our clients, but we always neglect ourselves quite a bit. So I think it was time for some self-care, perhaps, and we wanted to market ourselves in a very kind of stealthy, simple way that, you could put something as old as lemon next to and go, oh yeah, I see the DNA connection between the two, or, something as modern as, HIV sperm bank or something like this. And, when Damon and team had come up with this thought of putting a billboard in essentially the worst place you could possibly put a billboard for viewability reasons, it kind of just struck a nerve of, oh yeah, that would get people talking, right? That would be a way that this thing would get shared in the press, and lo and behold, it did. And campaign did a lovely global launch for us, and people have shared it in social, and many network heads have reached out to me and just have said, wow, kudos guys. I mean, nobody ever pulls this off well, and you guys have done it, and a big global network has done it. So really nice early feedback. But I think, as Alex had said, like, we want to keep our foot on the gas, and how do we keep surprising people with how we show up, around moments in culture, and moments, that are specific to our industry, and moments that aren't. So I feel like we have a really nice playbook starting to be built, and I'm looking to everyone in the network to continue to build on it.
Yeah, it's a great platform to continue. So a question for both of you, and maybe my final one. How do you see unexpected works impacting the client work that we're creating? And have you already started to use it in conversations with clients in the 2 weeks since we've officially launched?
No, I think unexpected works is a brilliant ambition for us. It should be sort of what inspires our greatest briefs and our greatest creative. So we've already started talking about this, just in terms of, how can we do that? How can we sort of do really creative and unexpected solutions to some pitches that we're going on right now, and we've already started talking with some prospects about this new positioning. So yeah, I think it's just tremendously exciting for all of us, because it just feels like we're setting the bar really high, because it has to be unexpected and it has to work. So it's a very, very clear brief, and a really hard one to beat. That's good.
Totally. I was going to say a very similar thing. I think the good news is that unexpected works, we really have been, and I know we said this in the conference, but we really have been doing this in our best work around the region already. I hope what this does is I hope it gives everybody permission, regardless of what department you are, creative department, strategic department, production, account, whatever, CFOs, everyone. How do we look at these problems differently and bring more creativity to our business and to our clients' businesses? Because ultimately we know that will drive growth. So for me, it's sharp permission. It's something, it's like, you can always walk in with that yellow card and go like, hold on, pause. Like, you're being served with this because this isn't an unexpected works. This is what we're meant to always answer to. And again, we've been doing this in our best work around the world. This is just to give us greater clarity, simpler definitions, so that we can do it more consistently, across more clients, across more offices, around the network.
Yeah, great. Well, that's all we have time for. So thank you for joining our episode of DDB Talks. I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Lindsay. Bye, Alex.
Thank you. Bye-bye.